Today I'm joined by Chris from the record company. Welcome to London.
Great to be here.
Back in the UK.
Yeah.
It was a few years ago when I first saw you guys. You were supporting Blackberry Smoke.
Yes.
On their UK tour, and you came across as a band that was different, so energetic, so raw but so real.
Thank you.
And how did you find that at first? Was that your first time in the UK?
Oh, yes, it was.
And how did you find the fans?
It was fantastic. All the shows were fantastic. We did Sheffield, Manchester, Newcastle, London. They were all stupendous. I mean, I think it's a long-standing and been proven many times over that you guys over here understand what rock and roll is. You know,
I think
giving us some of the greatest bands in the history of the genre. So you know.
But I also think we appreciate the fact that you make the effort to come across.
Oh yeah.
And I know that you were at the well, I think it wasn't at that time, but soon before you came over, you were still independent.
Yeah.
Because I remember I bought a couple of your independent EPs.
Yes.
And I know that you announced that you had signed a record deal, I think, during the tour.
We had just signed the deal right before that tour, so that was our final independent run, and it was a sweet way to end the career of being an independent artist, coming over and playing Europe and playing up here. So
I mean, I feel very privileged to have got those two EPs.
Well, thank you.
Because this Crooked City on there is probably my favourite version I've ever heard.
Cool. Oh, right on. Well, I appreciate it.
I don't know what's different about it. It's subtle maybe, but it is such a good recording.
Yeah, well, we did that recording. That's right at the birth of the group, the Super Dad EP, which is not available anymore right now. Which I've heard
Unless
about.
You speak to me very, very nicely.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that from some people who do know that would like to hear it, and I think we would love to re-release all that early material at some point. But yeah, that version of that song on the original demo, it was just a very pure and honest take on that tune. So I'm also a guy, probably similar to you, that for me, I'm not necessarily always attracted to recordings because they're perfect. I never am. You know, I prefer the warts and all.
I love the crackly vinyl. Always have done, always will do.
Sure.
I love the fact that you guys recorded the whole of the first album, I think, in Alex's living room, was it?
We did.
So you've got that raw, real and natural sound.
Thank you.
And I know that's something that you guys have always believed in and kind of not sold out from.
No, well, you can't. Why? My favorite music doesn't buff off the humanity, the mistakes, and the wavering, and that's where the beautiful tension in this genre is created. Obviously, there are other ways it can be done, and everybody's got to do it their own way. For us, I think you have to make music that's born of the influences that attracted you to music in the first place. So if your thing is electronic music, you're going to have a completely different take than, say, like somebody like me. Both equally valid. I think if you're whatever genre you're in, whatever you're doing, I'm listening to everything. I listen to all different types of stuff from I'll listen to everything from the crooners to the field hollers, Alan Lomax recordings from back in the day, in the United States recordings of the early Delta blues and Appalachian music, gospel. But then I'll turn around and listen to Boards of Canada and Aphex Twin, and also, metal, punk rock. It doesn't matter as long as it sounds like it needed to happen. I'm interested in listening to it.
From a personal point of view, I just love live music. If someone has the balls to get up on stage and play in front of a crowd or an audience, or even one person or 10,000 people, they have my total utmost respect.
Me too.
And it could be classical. I started off playing double bass, and I remember doing a solo when I was 15 in a cathedral on a double bass.
Sure.
And it scared the crap out of me.
Oh yeah.
But
early on,
the joy and sort of achievement of that, to me,
Sure.
must be what you guys kind of feel every time you step on stage, doing something you love.
Well, I think that you can't ever, if you're playing your own show, you know, you have to have respect for the fact that the people have taken time out of their lives and they're at your performance. They worked and they paid a ticket price to come in and see you perform. Just that right there is a great gift, because that's giving you an opportunity to continue to create your dream and to live the life of a musician. So what you need to do is play your guts out. You know, what you need to do is leave something behind that you can't necessarily get back so easily the next day. If I go to bed at night after a show and feel like, oh, I could have done 4 more, and I didn't do what I should have done, that's the kind of music that we're trying to play. You know.
I mean, I made a point of making a note of that. I mean, every time I've seen you guys, and it's been quite a few times now when you've been over here, whether it's supporting or your headline tour last year, you don't leave anything in the dressing room, as far as I can tell. It's literally, when you're on stage, we get everything that you can possibly, like you're just talking about, everything you can possibly give us, we get, and more.
That's very kind of you.
There's not many people I know that would do what you do on stage and still be able to play a lap steel or electric guitar or harmonica, you know, and you can tell, you can't fake that. And if you,
I don't think you should.
No, but you can't, because the audience will know.
Totally.
And I think that's what comes across when you said about how you were received by UK audiences supporting Blackberry Smoke. I think because of that the real realism of your performance, and there's no bullshit, and people see that. And that's great.
That's what I love about one thing. It was intimidating the first time to come by the idea of, anytime you do something new, it's intimidating, and coming overseas. When I was, and you know, when we played, you know, over here when we did the show in London, you know that it's just like playing in any city like New York, Nashville, Paris, wherever. You know, people have seen a lot. They've been through a lot, and they've experienced a lot of music. They've seen a lot of live music. And so it is intimidating, but in the end, you leave all that intimidation at the side of the stage, because you can't go on stage with that in your heart. You have to go on stage and be who you are, let it rip, and leave all the thoughts. All the thinking has to go out the window. If you're thinking on stage, in my opinion, you're not projecting from the inside of your heart, soul, whatever you want to call it. So it's important to just stay in the moment while you're on the stage. And so you leave all those perceptions at the door. You leave them all at the side of the stage, and you just kind of, last thing I always do before I play is I just take a deep breath, and I go bam, and I'm like, you know, you're in the moment at that time. You hit the stage, and then you stay there, and that's why the stage is such a gift. Is there are no taxes on the stage. There are no, there's no, my personal relationships are at this level on the stage. The stage is a place where you purify all of that.
And you're in that moment.
You let it go.
You're playing your music for these people that come to. I mean, I remember that.
You get to
that headline show in London, the Borderline.
Yeah.
It's changed now, but at that time the lighting was terrible, and you were just blue and dark.
Just one lamp.
So you were able to hide a little bit that night, but it was a fantastic show, and there was no visible nerves that we could see from coming across. But your headline show last year did a small run of headline tour, and which was fantastic as well.
Thank you.
And in Birmingham, I remember the Birmingham gig especially because I took my youngest, and he loves you guys, and I think you blew a fuse, and Alex and Mark did what I'd call a real drum and bass jam.
Sure.
While you were trying to sort
Putting
the
it
kit
together.
out. And it's almost like you've got such a strong kinship, friendship, you three, on stage, and it's so noticeable. And I think that helps with the relaxed feel of your gigs. You know, it's more intimate, I think, for us.
Oh, that's great of you to say. Isn't sometimes finding your way through those moments is like a lot of times going to be the best part of the show. It's, you know, I learned that watching Iggy Pop, you know, and I saw Iggy and the Stooges at the Palladium, and it was about 2011, right before we formed the band, and by the third song, I think he had everybody in the front of the audience was on the stage by his invitation. They had to stop the concert, take everybody off stage, and start the concert again. And I thought to myself, I'm like, God, this guy, what a band. And what I think about in those moments is, and there's so many examples over the course of my being a fan of music, watching that, and what I realized was those are the moments that are those unscripted, real moments. That's the best part. So if you have a guitar string break, if you fall down, if you knock into the drum kit, or your amp blows up, that can be the best part of the show if you just embrace it as like, man, it's just all part of it, you know. It's
memories. It's something you can take away, and you can say, "Oh, do you remember that night?
Yeah,
that gig when this happened."
You can't reproduce that. It's a one-time thing, you know. So, and I think you got to keep that energy, or at least we do in our show. We want to keep that energy alive. It's like, yeah, I might fall on my face. I might fall off the front of the stage. I don't know.
But you're not faking it. It's real.
Whatever it is, you know, you're just trying to be in the moment, not trying to be anything other than that, I guess.
I mean, you've now. Well, we'll go back to your first album. Give It Back to You, released early last year.
Yep.
Fantastic album.
2016.
2 years ago.
Yep.
Great album. Obviously, highly anticipated after you signed your record deal. And I think it got so many great plaudits from fans and peers alike. And it got a Grammy nomination. Is that correct?
It did.
How cool was that?
That was pretty cool. I mean, that's not something. My wife was teasing me the week that the Grammy nominations were coming out, and I think she was honestly just teasing me. She's like, Grammy nominations are coming out. I'm like, oh, stop yourself, you know. It's like, but I mean, I never expected to do any of this. You have to understand. I dreamt of it. I always was of the opinion that it happened to somebody else, you know, and I, at a certain point in my life, figured that kind of stuff had passed me by. So when these things come around, it's a shock, you know. I mean, it's a complete shock. The morning that we found out we got that nomination, my wife, I was home for like 2 days off the road or something, or just a short stint. I think actually we had just ended the tour, because the nominations are, if I remember correctly, it's like December we found out. So we had ended like a year of like 150 shows or something. So I was actually sleeping in my own bed. My wife woke up and she was kind of like freaking out, going like, oh my God, oh my God. And it was about 6 in the morning. So I was of course asleep. If a musician's awake at 6 in the morning,
You're still gigging.
Yeah, it's either because you got to catch a plane or catch a ride, or you've been misbehaving for too long and you're still awake from the day before. You know, that's the only time you're up at 6 in the morning. So I woke up and I was like, what is going on? I didn't think anything good was happening. I thought like the house was on fire, something had happened. And she was like, you've been nominated for a Grammy with the group. And I actually thought she was joking with me.
Because she'd been teasing.
Yeah. And then when I found out it was true, obviously it was something I never expected to have happen. So we're thankful for that experience.
Exactly, and I think it shows belief in what you guys were doing. You know, like when you signed your record deal, that must have been good to know that somebody else has the belief in your music to want to push that, to want to, you know, to get it out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, you just know that you're going to get an opportunity to be heard by a broader audience, which is, you know, the greatest gift any music fan can give an artist, a new artist, is a couple seconds of their time for an opportunity to be heard, you know. So
I mean, let's go forward to this year. Your sophomore album, you know, All of This Life was released. I think one of the tracks are from one of those EPs, is it Roll Bones? I think is on.
Roll Bones.
I think that's one of the ones that was maybe brought from.
Yeah, we had that written a couple years ago, and it just kind of always regretted that it had never made it onto an album. And it actually, that was one of those things where people kept bringing it up. We had something online from a living room concert from, I think it was like 2013, and there was a performance of that song. It wasn't available anywhere. So people would bring it up. And so one day we're in the studio, and I think I might have just said, hey, let's just do a take. So we did a take of it, listened back to it, and when the album was completed, we were listening to all of what we had recorded, and that was one of the songs where it was like, yeah, that
it fits.
Worked. It was just, it was one take. It was, just did it, forgot about it, got it mixed, and then heard it back, and we're like, yeah, it had a place on the record, so we put it on there.
I mean, I know you recorded this latest album in the studio, but you still maintain that living room feel that we were talking about earlier, which is a great achievement.
Thank you.
Because from a fan's point of view, from someone who listens to your music, it stays true to you guys, if that makes sense. I know.
Well, thanks.
You can't. I wouldn't pigeonhole you guys into any sort of genre, because I don't think you can, because you're so diverse in what you do.
Thanks.
But it stays true to you, I feel, and that's fantastic. And I know in the States, I think it was Target. You did 3 extra tracks. I think 2 different mixes and 1 other song.
Yeah, we had a couple different alternate takes of some stuff.
And I remember seeing you do a Facebook Live.
Yeah.
A couple of times, sat in your car,
yeah,
unwrapping and pretty much looking very uncomfortable, I must say.
Sure.
But being totally honest when you're talking about the tracks, and it was fantastic to see.
Yeah, man. Well, that was one of those things where, I'm not necessarily that comfortable in front of a camera when a guitar isn't between me and the camera. If a guitar is between me and the camera all day long, but but that's all good. It's all part of the experience. And that was one of those things where somebody had suggested that, like, hey, you should film this. So I did, and it was actually my wife holding the camera. So that was kind of that made it a little more at home.
Bearable, yeah.
But it's just you want to share those experiences when you can.
But it was good. It was almost like,
it's nice to hear that you liked it.
It was like we were sat in the car with you.
Sure.
That's the sort of feel that came across, and it was really cool. I mean, a friend of mine sent me a Target copy from the States.
Oh, did he?
So I've got
nice.
the CD,
the extra,
the 3 extra tracks. But
that was cool. I mean, we had the album, it was done, and then there was this opportunity to put it out where we could put a few more tracks on it. And we're like, yeah, let's do that. Baby I'm Broken, which was a single that, another song that we had from back in the day that we released between Give It Back to You and All of This Life. Baby I'm Broken came out, but it was only in digital format, so it was like cool to get a physical copy of it somewhere. So it
was good. I mean, talking about songs that have not made an album or EP yet, obviously during your live sets, it's just full on entertainment, fantastic music, and it's just great fun to be there. You have a song called The Burner. I think it's called The Burner,
yeah.
Which is one of your go-to, finish the set, everybody just goes crazy. Why hasn't that ever made it onto
There's no way to replicate what happens live in the studio. We tried it once, and it was horrifyingly terrible. So, this will not be cut out later. This is like that part of this set that we were talking about earlier.
We don't cut anything out.
That's good.
I don't have to.
Where you get the opportunity to hear like people doing dishes while you're doing an interview.
I did an interview with Tyler Bryant at a hotel. We were outside, and all of them sat outside.
It's a coffee machine, which, by the way, I'm extremely jet lagged, and this is saving me right now. So
pure caffeine. There's no.
Thank God for that machine. That machine. I'm not that machine. They have a right to it, just like we do.
Have you ever considered doing a live recording of The Burner and maybe adding it onto like a bonus?
Sure. Whatever, if it sounds right, it is right. That's just the kind of the feeling of the band is like, if it feels right and it sounds right, then we're all good, and if it's not there, we just don't put it out. So as of now, we just haven't had a recording of it where we've wanted to put it on an album, or we haven't done a live album or anything.
I mean, like I say, you're back in London today. You haven't been here. I mean, it was the 100 Club. I think it was the last show you played in London, which was another fantastic gig to be at because of the history of the actual venue.
It's an amazing place.
It stinks. it's sweaty, the floor's sticky.
It's a rock and roll club.
The toilets you just wouldn't want to describe to anybody while they're eating the dinner.
And you know, those clubs are disappearing, and it's great to still see them.
And when you go in there, there's an office above, and it's just like a normal office block, and then you just walk down these steps, and you're steeped in history, musical history.
Yeah.
I remember on the stage there, you can see what your sort of gears and things are clicking in your head. You're looking around, right, I can jump down there, there's a space. Straight into the crowd, harmonica going. And it was a fantastic gig. And tonight at the OMEARA, I've never actually been to this venue, so I don't know what it's like. I've been told it's fantastic, and it's a truly sort of magnificent looking venue. Why only the one UK show? Why all this way for one show?
It just was. It was there to do it in this little gap we have between shows, and we want to come back for a how would you say it out here? A proper tour.
Full headline tour.
Yeah. So, but it was the album's out, and we were like, man, we got to at least get over there and like, you know, play these songs. So there was an opportunity to play this show and just kind of see some people that we know over here and get an opportunity to. I mean, it's not like you got to really twist my arm to make me want to come to London, you know. So, but yeah, I do know, and believe me, we've heard and seen people saying, "Why are you only over here for one?" Rest assured, we're coming back, and we'll be coming back soon.
So I know you signed Snake Farm for UK distribution, I think, of your latest album. And I know Dante and that will be there tonight. I mean, that's obviously good for you guys to have somebody with the knowledge of the UK market, as well as obviously your worldwide.
No, I mean, that's, you know, people who know their city and know their country. You know, it's great. It's great to work with people that are local, you know, and understand the music community out here.
Okay, well, that's brilliant. Well, Chris, look, I'm not going to take up any more of your valuable time today. I know
no problem.
Great gig tonight at the OMEARA. Thank you for talking to me today with Two Finger Media, and have a great stay in London.
All right, thanks everybody, and thank you for being a supporter of the music, man.